Alaikum wa rahmatullah. Good evening and welcome to With the Prophet. I am Ali Coleman, our your host for today's show, and our subject is the rich, those who are endowed with material wealth in this material plane of our existence. To open up and expand this conversation on this subject, looking at how the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, dealt with the rich during his lifetime, is Sheikh Alhakeem. Assalamu alaikum and welcome.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and jazakumullah khair for having me.
Our pleasure to have you. I'd like to open up by talking about an Algerian writer. He was a medical doctor, psychiatrist from Algeria, France Fanon. He's very famous Algerian. He wrote in the 1960s. One of his most famous works was called The Wretched of the Earth. And in this book, as a psychiatrist, he analyzed the colonized Arab and African peoples who were coming in the 60s, emerging out of colonialism. The era of national independence movements was sweeping across the continent, both Africa and Asia. And he said that the colonized peoples have a schizophrenia. We suffer from a love-hate relationship with our colonizer. We hate his oppression of us, his occupation of our lands, his control of our resources, but at the same time, we admire him for his wealth, his great success, so on and so forth. And so he diagnosed us in whole, saying that we had this schizophrenia. My question is about the Islamic view. What does Islam push in terms of valuing one or the other? Is he right? Does Islam provide the solution of this schizophrenia that Frantz Fanon diagnosed us with? Should we not be admiring the rich? Should we be focused more on a different perspective?
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillah wa salatu wa salam ala rasulillahi wa alihi wa sahbihi wa ihtada bihuda. Amma ba'd. The Prophet alayhi salatu wa salam told us in an authentic hadith, whenever one of you wants to look at someone else, he must look at those who are below his level. This is worthy that you do not despise Allah's blessings and favors upon you. What does this hadith mean? If I am blessed with so many things and I'd like to compare what I have with others, the Prophet tells us, look at those who are less privileged. Then you would appreciate the gifts of Allah Azza wa Jal upon you. While if you look above you, you'll hurt your neck and you will despise whatever you have. So if you're driving a car, look at those who are riding a motorbike. And if you have a motorbike, look at those who have a bicycle to appreciate what you have. If you have a bicycle, look at those who walk. And if you walk, look at those who are sitting in a wheelchair, and so on. Now, having said that, this is regarding the worldly, materialistic things. If it were to be in religious practice, it should be the other way around. So if Allah favored you and blessed you with certain level of iman, when you want to look above you. Do not look below you. So for example, if I pray my 5 prayers in the masjid, don't be happy and say, Alhamdulillah, I'm better than those who don't pray in the masjid. But rather say, oh, those above me pray 5 times and they offer night prayers. So they're better than me, and you try your level best to catch up to them. Now, having said that, what is best? Do we have to favor one over the other? Does Islam tell us that this is better than this? It's best to be wealthy than to be poor, or it's best to be poor and patient than to be wealthy? I've mentioned this in previously, the book of Ibn al-Qayyim. May Allah have mercy on him, the student of Ibn Taymiyyah. And the book is called Uddat al-Sabirin. وَذَخِيرَةُ الشَّاكِرِينَ, which investigates who's better and who's best. And there is a lot of info in this regards, and scholars differed. But the most authentic opinion would be that whoever is more in righteousness is better than the other. So they came up with this answer, saying that, okay, what if this person who's poor but patient is in the same level of righteousness as this wealthy who is grateful?
Okay.
So who's best? It seems, wallahu a'lam, that the wealthy is better. Why? Because though the poor person is patient and doesn't have the money to do sins, yet the rich, the wealthy, who is grateful and is giving money in the cause of Allah, his benefit far exceeds the benefits of the poor.
I see. All right, Sheikh, let me make sure I understand. You're saying that on one hand, if we are to look around us at the people around us, we should, if anything, look down at those who are less fortunate and not up, and be grateful for what little we have, okay? But on the other side, when it comes to measuring the potential benefits to the Muslim Ummah, both materially and spiritually, there are more opportunities for those who are well off than those who are impoverished. Did I get you correctly?
Yes, indeed. See, though Islam does not recommend poverty, it highly recommends that you benefit others. And you cannot do that without the financial means. And if you look at the 10 heaven-bound companions, so these are the top 10, the top seeded in the Ummah of Islam, you'll find that 6 or 7 of them were wealthy, not only well off, they were extremely wealthy. Now, their wealth, when you come and look at it, you would find that it was never a form of hindrance. It was never an obstacle for them to get closer to Allah. On the contrary, they got closer to Allah by spending so much.
I see. Because not everyone has that character. It's about character. Some have the means to destroy themselves with wealth, and we've seen it many times.
And this is when the Prophet ﷺ also used to seek refuge in Allah from the trial of, or the fitna of wealth. So there is a fitna and a trial of poverty, but also there is
one for wealth.
Yes.
In terms of physical appearances, I've known, and I'm sure you've known a few wealthy people, and many might be surprised to know that they're not as showy as the middle class are. The middle class want to show everything. You know, I'm driving this car, I've got new clothes, I've got all this. Not so much with the wealthy. They're more quick to conceal their wealth and try to blend in. What does what about this subject of our physical appearance when it comes to being among those who are wealthy?
See, we have to make a distinction here.
Okay.
There is a difference between blending in and between showing what is not true.
Okay.
Why do I say this? The companions who I just talked about, the 10 heaven bound, they didn't stand in a crowd with the way they looked or the things they were perceived by the others. They blended in naturally and they wore normal clothes. There's nothing wrong in that. What is wrong is to give the impression that you're poor, that you're needy.
I see.
So the hadith of Malik ibn Nadla, may Allah be pleased with him, he said that I came once to the Prophet ﷺ, and the Prophet took a look at me and said, "Do you have wealth?" I said, "Yes, O Prophet of Allah, I do." He said, "What kind of money and wealth do you have?" He said, "I have everything. I have sheep, I have cows, I have camels, I have a lot of money." And then the Prophet said, "If Allah gives you wealth, then show it. Let it be apparent on you.
Okay.
Now, how do I understand this? I understand this that Malik, may Allah be pleased with him, went to meet the Prophet ﷺ with torn clothes, untidy hair, maybe signs that he was not at all well off. And the Prophet corrected that. In contrast to what? In contrast to showing off. So showing off because of the wealth you have is something that is abhorred by Allah Azza wa Jal, and it might even take that individual straight to hell.
So even for whether we're talking about wealthy people who can truly afford, or the middle class people who are going into debt to get stuff to look like they're well off, both are wrong.
Both are wrong. It might need a little bit of explanation.
Let's get to the explanation. We're ready for our break, Sheikh. We'll come back to continue, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum. Welcome back to With the Prophet. We're continuing our conversation about the rich with Sheikh Azam Alhakeem. Before the break, we had started to open up this thing about what we call conspicuous consumption. People want to buy the symbolic products of status to show off to the world that they're better off. And the Prophet spoke directly to that.
Allahumma salli wa sallim alayhi. The Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam prohibited the wealthy from overdoing it. So usually if you're wealthy, you tend to make that show in the sense that you may cross the line for example, like a person who drags his garment behind him. When it is lower than your ankles, it's sinful. The Prophet told us ﷺ that there was an incident when a man was so arrogant and proud of himself, walking happy with his way his hair is done, dragging his garment, when Allah Azza wa Jal made him drop deep down in the earth, in an earthquake like or something of the sort. So this is totally prohibited. Those who cannot afford it also are prevented from imitating and trying to go out of the way to look like the rich. So many times people ask me, what's the ruling on wearing fake brands? And I tell them, fake brands are for fake people. If you're not original, if you don't have the money, don't sweat it. Don't try to do something or to be someone who you are not. Now, when we come to making Allah's favors and blessing appear upon us, meaning that you wear clean clothes, not necessarily branded, you wear something that smells good, and you do not portray the picture of someone who is poor and needy, and as if you're rejecting Allah's favors and blessings upon you.
All right. It brings to mind my grandparents. They lived during the Great Depression in the United States. And before she passed away, she to her dying day, my grandmother used to always tell us, because it really made a deep impression on her going through the Depression era. No matter what your circumstance, there's no reason for you to always keep your clothes clean, even if it's holy. Keep them clean and pressed. And that was her thing for us. We're talking about deceiving people by making them, trying at least to make them think that we're better off than we really are through conspicuous consumption. Deception is also features when it comes to business transactions. The Prophet, peace be upon him, was careful to instruct business persons not to deceive people in the marketplace. Can you address that, please?
The most famous incident, which all Muslims know by heart, "Man ghashana falaysa minna." The Prophet went to the market once, ﷺ, and he saw a pile of wheat, barley, whatever, and he inserted his hand inside this pile. It's grain. So he found wetness, and we know, you know, when grain has wetness in it, it makes it rot. So he said, "Oh, owner of the shop, what is this wetness I'm finding?" He said, "Oh, Prophet of Allah, last night it rained. So the rain got into the surface of it, so I turned it over, so only the dry part is apparent." See, the Prophet said, "Alayhi, why didn't you leave it as it is so that people could see it?"
Right.
Whoever cheats the Muslims, he's not among us.
He wanted us to believe that perhaps if somebody had been dealt with wrongly at his shop, that it was not his intention. And so the Prophet, peace be upon him, is correcting that, whether it's intentional or not.
You have to show the people the defects. I cannot sell you a car without telling you that the engine is broke, or it had an accident that is serious and will affect your decision whether to buy or not. The Prophet used to, alayhi salatu wasalam, go to the marketplace and roam around, checking on people, telling them this is halal, this is haram, teaching them. And he used to address them. And he says to them, "O merchants, on the day of judgment, the merchants will be resurrected as sinful, as people of hellfire, except those who fear Allah, who are righteous, and who speak the truth." By far, businessmen are one of the greatest liars, maybe second to politicians. And why is that? I want to make the deal successful. So I may lie to you. And I tell you, "Look, my car is beautiful, it's brand new, it's a couple of years old, you'll love it." And if you ask me straight questions, I may lie. And I tell you, yeah. In auctions where I come from, in Saudi, those who make the auctions, when they just want to sell. So they get a car on display, and the people interested in buying are listening. So the guy holds up the microphone and says, "This car is a piece of trash. It doesn't go forward. It doesn't go backwards. It doesn't have oil in the engine. The windows cannot be rolled down. It's broken." And you see the car is excellent.
Yeah.
So when you buy the car and find a defect, he said, "I told you." Akhi, you told me a set of lies. So this is why those who deal in selling and buying, they lie a lot, they cheat a lot, they want to make a bargain, even if it causes them to enter hellfire.
Important for Muslims to take their money, their revenues from halal sources. I'd like to bring up this subject as well. And there's this whole halal industry that has come up. The economists, Islamic finance persons put the halal industry in the trillions of dollars, at least approaching $2 trillion. Halal food, halal cosmetics, halal clothing, halal tourism packages for whatever. This subject of halal sources of money is important for Muslims to be careful of. Very much like buying, showing defects in the things when you're selling them, we have to know the roots of where our monies are coming from.
The Prophet told us, alayhi salatu wasalam, that any flesh that grows out of haram income, hellfire is more worthy of it. The issue of halal is like the Pandora box. If you open it, you will find yourself flooded with issues. Not that it is difficult, on the contrary, it's very straightforward. The issue of halal in Islam, it's straightforward. Transactions, when it comes to food, when it comes to everything else, it is easily made. Unfortunately, it's the wealth that corrupts people. See, why would I lie to you and try to sell you something when it is not halal? I would just stick the label on it, considering it to be halal. So I'd sell you fish and I'd say it's halal fish. Well, any ignorant knows that all seafood is halal. You don't have to slaughter it. I'll make a movie and consider it to be halal. At the end of the day, you have belly dancers pretending to be dancing in halal. What is this? They are abusing the terminology.
Yeah.
When it comes to wealth, the Prophet ﷺ told us in a beautiful hadith, there are 4 things, in another hadith 5, that the feet of the sons of Adam would not move an inch on the day of judgment until they are questioned about. One of them is your wealth, where you gained it from and where you spent it in. So this hadith is scary to those who have wealth. There is a big problem of the source of your income. Where did it come from?
Is it enough to spend with the right intention? Or are you saying that we also have to be careful about whoever we're investing in, what products we're buying? Is not just enough to declare a good intention and then to spend the money?
The intention has great deal in it, but also the means share the exact portion. So in order for your deeds to be accepted, you have to have 2 conditions. 1, the good intention, the sincerity.
Yeah.
2, that the deed is in accordance to the Quran and Sunnah.
Okay.
So if someone wants to give da'wah, that's a good intention. But if you go to a nightclub and dance with a girl who's non-mahram to give her da'wah, this is the bad means of doing it. Likewise, when making money, if you make money with the good intention, but through the wrong means, no. It's like a prostitute. Working, she's a working girl, working woman, so she claims, and she gains money.
I want to put myself through college to be a medical doctor and help people by doing this.
This is even better. No, there is a prostitute who works the nights, and whatever she gets, she feeds the orphans. What are you doing? She says, I'm doing good deeds. Yes, but the means were wrong. So do not feed the orphans and do not fornicate. So again, to gain money is a good thing, but where did it come from is most important. And not only that, where did you spend it in?
Okay. The 5, did you want to complete the 5? We're almost out of time. I'm not sure if you want to end on that note, or we got about a minute and a half left.
Okay.
Did you want to go through all 5? You said we won't go through judgment unless we're asked about wealth.
Okay. The Prophet said, لن تزول قدم ابن آدم حتى يسأل عن 4, until he's asked about 4 or 5. عن شبابه فيما أفناه, about his youth. Where did he use that youth? About his age, his life. Not only the period of youth, even when he grows old. عن عمره فيما أفناه, عن شبابه فيما أبلاه, عن ماله, about his wealth, where he gained it and when he had spent it, and about his knowledge. What did he do about it? So all of these things I can learn, I can read, I can memorize, but what did I do with the knowledge that I have received?
And they're all forms of wealth. Someone can be wealthy in knowledge, with vibrant energy, with health, with wealth.
Correct.
All of them are great resources that we can use.
True.
To benefit ourselves and those who depend on us and the ummah at large. Sheikh, thank you so much for being with us, and we look forward to more episodes.
Inshallah, I'm hoping to do that as well.
That ends our episode for today with our discussion about the rich. We look forward to more episodes with Sheikh Azam, inshallah. Until then, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.